Welcome back, this is Jeff Byers. I'm instructor for ANI 150 and this is Module 3 and this is Modeling Our Sci-Fi Weapon, Part 9. So we have got the two pieces, looks like two armor plating pieces done, and then we've got a gap here, and then we're going to work on this piece here. Now we're following the low poly that we created earlier as just a base shape, so we can get these pieces, try to get as close as we can with the concept artwork, and keep within that structure. So we've extracted pieces, so you can see that I've extracted this piece and this piece, and I went ahead and grabbed this back piece and extracted that and placed this in here as a reference to where we need to kind of bend this piece back. It looks like these pieces are bending back into something, so we need to kind of follow that as well. There's one piece that I need, or one addition I got to add to this piece right here. Is we're going to do an edge loop right here, because it kind of falls apart when I hit the 3 key. You can see that that's not holding up together, so we're going to add another edge loop here. So I'm going to go to insert edge loop and insert that edge loop right there, and that should work just great. And then we need to kind of curve this over, so I need to go into vertex mode, and we're going to kind of curve this over. So I'm going to go to this view here and make a selection like that. Okay, the component mode, and we're still in the tool. Let's click off, and let's go ahead and try that again. Make sure we're in 1. Hit the 1 key. There we go. Okay, now we can rotate it. It's going to rotate it at that pivot point. Let's see here. I can go ahead and move that pivot point down. So once I hit the rotate key, I'm going to move that pivot point down around there. And we can pivot point that. Let's go ahead and move it down just a little bit more. I'm just holding down the D key. Let's try that. Here we go. That might be too much. Let's go in here and bring that pivot point. Let's go to the, here we go. Yeah, we went too far. I'm going to hold down the D key and move it, align it with that one right there. And let's see if we can get this looking good. Rotate like that a little bit. We don't want to get into this piece back here. You have to be really careful not to intersect those. Okay. And we're kind of going down again a little bit. I think it's just naturally going down. Okay, and we're intersecting these up here. So I'm going to go back a little bit. You can see that we're intersecting those a little bit. So I'm going to hit the 1 key and move this back a little bit, like that, if we can. Okay, then we're going to, now that we got this, I'm going to go to the top view, and I'm going to do my marquee select tool, and just select these pieces right there. And the rotate tool. Whoops, I have to select more than just those. Select the top pieces too. Go ahead and hit the marquee select tool again, or you can just, do the selection tool like that. There we go. And let's rotate that, and you can see that we're kind of back where we were with the pivot point. So I'm going to hold the pivot point down, or the D key down, and move the pivot point back over here. And let's pivot that back in like that. And let's kind of look on the bottom, see where we're at with that. Okay. There we go. And this one we can move a little closer. Back kind of where we had it. Like that. There we go. I'm going to hit the 3 key, kind of see how that looks. Alright, that looks pretty good. We're not following it exactly, but you get the idea there. That looks pretty good. See how it looks in here. Yeah, that looks good. I like that. Okay, so I'm going to go back to 1 key and then back to the 3 key. That looks good. And then once we get that done, I'm going to go ahead and keep this in here so we can have it as a template. And we're going to work on this piece here. This is the second piece. As you can see, we've got some cool, interesting things going on here. I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to model this piece in. I think I'm just going to try to keep this piece pretty flat. This is going to overlap over top, and I'm gonna have to, I don't know what I'm going to do about this. I suppose I could bring that down and then extrude it over. We can try to do that. That looks like a really bizarre piece that kind of folds over the other piece here. So I think I'm going to go ahead and add, because I want to keep this piece here. We're going to add these little pieces that are on top here. Let's go ahead and, because I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with this, because I think I'm going to have to take this out. Alright, so we're going to go ahead, I'm going to try to do that piece then real quick. I might have to destroy some pieces here, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this face off, so keep it together. So I'm going to extract that, edit mesh, extract. Okay, so that'll be extracted, and then I'm going to add on to this piece here. I think that's the easiest way to go. Alright, so let's go ahead and do that. Select the edge, and then we're going to go, and I think I'm going to make some cuts in here to get a nice round edge here. So before I extract, or before I extrude, I'm going to go into selection mode and add edge loops across. Okay, and I can always take these edge loops, and this one's a little bit too low, and we're going to go hold the shift key and right mouse button, go into slide edge tool, use my middle mouse button. I can slide that up and down, and I can do that with the rest of these, sliding these up and down. Kind of keep these, there we go. I'm just double clicking on these and just moving them up with my middle mouse button, sliding them up and down. There we go, that looks good. Get as close as I can, and then I'm going to select this guy here and deselect. And we're going to go ahead and extrude that down. So I'm going to do Control E, and we're extruding a face like we have been. Okay, and this is kind of a strange thing we got going on here. We'll see how this goes. And with this piece, like this, I'm going to go ahead and scale that in a little bit, like that. I can do this, let's do this, Control Z back again, and let me right click and go to vertex mode and scale those in. There we go, that looks a little bit better. And then we're going to go ahead and move these vertices, these end vertices in a little bit, like that. And then we're going to select these guys, or these end pieces, and move those in a little bit. You start seeing that I'm kind of creating a little piece back here, and go into vertex mode and select these end pieces again like that, and move those back a little bit. And you can see we've got a nice round piece right there. Okay, so vertex. So now we're going to move these down. Actually, let's rotate. That might be a better way. Let's rotate that like that, and then move it down. There we go. Then we rotate it, and then move it down. Yeah, that'll work pretty good. All right, let's move that into place. Okay, so see if we can get that moved into place as well. We've got kind of a strange thing here. I think that's working pretty good, actually. Alright, cool. And we may want to rotate it just slightly. I guess that doesn't really work. Okay, there we go. Move that into place right about there. I think we're pretty close to it. That's good, right there. Alright, cool. Alright, so looks like we've got that break right there. So we're gonna need to go in here, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and take these pieces while I'm working on this piece. Go into object mode and select these pieces that are supposed to be okay. And I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can get those in a layer. Okay. And I'm just gonna reference those. There we go. So I click off. So I won't be able to click on them again. You just have to remember you did that. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and cut the rest of these edges. So I'm gonna hit the Q key. Make sure I get out of any tool. I hit the Q key a lot. That's just like hitting the selection tool. This just helps you keep from making mistakes, adding edge loops where you don't want to add edge loops or that type of thing. So I'm going to go into Insert Edge Loop, and we're going to insert that edge loop in here. Again, we're going to try to keep the same kind of edge loops that we've got with the rest of them. I'm going to go ahead and turn on Wireframe Unshaded. That's this little guy up here. And that one's not that's not down far enough. I'm going to go Control Z back and do that again. And just go ahead and go in here. Okay. And let's go ahead and create an edge loop right here as well for that part. This one's pretty easy. I think I'm going to make a couple more edge loops in here to add some detail in through here. And again, we can go into Mudbox and make changes, add a vent right there, that kind of thing if we want to. But right now I'm going to kind of add a tag. I'm going to do an edge loop right here and here. So we have that nice little break there. And then I think the rest of it I'm going to push this down. Let me see what I've got so far. think what I'm going to do is just some artistic freedom here. I'm going to take this guy here. I think I'm going to Control Z back a minute. Yeah, that's the one. I don't want to put any more edge loops there. Let me, this one is fine. Let's add one right here. And insert edge loop here. You can always, if you make a mistake, you can always double click an edge, do Control Delete, because the Control Delete, just hitting delete won't get rid of the vertices, so Control Delete will help. And we go in here and add edge loops right there too as well. I think the rest of it's okay. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and select the faces, these faces right here. Just on the inside of this, real quick. And, or I can pull them out. I suppose I could pull those out. That would add some pretty cool, yeah, that would work. So let's go ahead and select the outside edges here, like this. And we'll just go ahead and extrude those out so that will look like it's pushed in and give us kind of a different level there. That'll be kind of cool. That'll work. Okay, so we're going to do a Control E, and we're just going to pull those out like this, and scale those in. Scale these in a little bit, like that. I don't know if I want to use that tool right now. Let's do this. Let's go back. Let's just extrude out. Something like that. And leave it at that and click off. And then I can move those vertices in. So I'm going to select these vertices like this. And go ahead and move those in. Make sure you don't select anything else. And we're going to move those in like this. There we go, like that. That looks good. Okay. And these, I think I'm just going to take this as an edge loop here, right here, and just move it up like that. And in just a little bit. Actually, let's slide. Let's use the slide. I don't know if it'll let me slide that edge loop up. Let's see if it'll let me do that. Slide edge loop. Yeah, there we go. Let's just slide that edge loop, because otherwise if we don't, it will get wonky on us. Just slide that up a little bit like that so it exposes that part. And then let's go ahead and click on these edge loops, or this edge loop right here, just that part right there. Do the same thing. Slide edge loop. I love the slide edge loop, it's really nice. There we go. Just kind of slide that over a little bit. Okay. We can also slide this one in a little bit if we want to. Whoops. Here we go. Slide that one in a little bit. That might be a better way of going. It kind of looks like it's snapping a little bit. And the outside one here, let's go ahead and do that one. And slide edge loop. And just holding the middle mouse button down as I slide that down. There we go. So now you can see the only thing wonky about this is this vertex there. So we know how to move that, don't we? Hit the W key, double click on that. Constraint to edge. Now I can slide that up. Here we go. That looks better. Good. Alright, so now we got that done. Okay, so that piece is almost completed. Got some thickness there. Alright. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to isolate this now and finish this up real quick. Control 1. And I don't need the background image for this. So things I need to work on is edge loops. So I'm going to add edge loops to the top. So insert edge loop at the top. Through here, this part right here, and this part right here. We need to edit edge loop right there. Inside edge loop right here, otherwise it'll cave in on itself. And an edge loop at the bottom here, like that. There we go. Okay. So that looks good so far. We need to add an edge loop right here and across the center in here. We've already got one on that side. Already got one on this side, so we're good there. May want to add an edge loop right here on the outside here to support that edge. So I've got to do the same thing over here. Just got to support those edges. And I think we're good. I think I'm going to do one more right here to support that edge at the bottom. There we go. I think we're good. And then at the very outer edge, we've got to create, I'm going to hit the Q key. I'm going to double click on this guy right here. Okay, get rid of this. And we're going to do an extrusion. Okay. Now we have to be careful. Once we get that edge loop selected, we have to be careful. We got some wonky and strange angles that I've kind of created here. And move to pivot point. We could run into some issues. So before I extrude this, to get a nice extrude, I need to take the history off. See, look at all that history we have on there. That could cause us errors if we kind of extrude this out. So we have to be really careful with that. So let's go ahead and let's delete by type history. Go into poly modeling. And we're going to go to delete history. There we go. So now we've deleted the history. Let's go back in here, zoom in a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and double click on that edge. There we go. And we're going to go ahead and extrude. Control E. And instead of using the manipulator this time, I'm going to just hit the W key and brute force this. I don't know what's going to happen. Oh, I've got slide still on. Double click on this, turn off that to off, and there we go. Perfect. So it did not remember the what I did earlier with the rotation and all that stuff, so that's great. One thing is that when I move it back, it's not really following the normals, right, of the object. It's slanted. See how that piece is slanted? So I've got the problem with not using the manipulator. It will save you from all kinds of problems, but also it will kind of, it's angled at a certain, it's not angled properly. So what I'm going to do with this is, I think I already did the extrude, yeah. So I can't forget I did the extrude. So I'm going to pop it out a little bit like that. And I'm just going to have to move it down. Just have to be really careful. Just do the best you can to eyeball that. Okay, and then I'm going to do the extrude again. Control E, and then hit W key again, and then move that back a little farther, and then move it down. Again, you're just kind of following that angle the best you can. Do the best you can. It's not going to hurt anything if you're off a little bit. And then Control E again, and move it. Hit the W key. Again, I'm just doing it by hand. Alright, and there we go, like that. Again, just get as close as you can to keeping that angle, okay? And then the rest of it should be good. And then we're going to do the inside piece now. Okay, so, and this will get terribly wonky, I think. I'm assuming it will. Control E, and then this time we're going to use the manipulator tool if we can, and we'll see which one it is. The blue key, yeah, that's the blue one. So we're just going to pull that in like that. Okay, pull it in just like we've done with the other ones, and then fix the corners. And we'll come back and see what we got. Alright, the only corners I really had to fix for this corner right here and this corner right here. So one last thing we're going to do, just like we did with the other ones, we're going to go in here and hold down the shift key and go to insert edge loop, and just to insert an edge loop right in through here. There we go. So it supports that edge. Alright, so this is our piece, our finalized piece there. It turned out pretty nice. Hit the Q key and the selection, and hit the 3 key, and you can see that we've got our piece. There we go. Let's go ahead and turn off. There you go. That looks really nice. I like that. So Control 1. So we've got these pieces now. Let's turn that off a minute. And so we got this piece in here. Right. So that looks pretty good. Like that so far. Alright, so let's go into this part. So there's some redundant little pieces that we need to model into the next video, and I think I'm going to start working on the handle too as well. But let's take a look at what we have so far. Here's the high poly back and the high poly front. So let's take a look at what we have so far with pieces. And so I'm going to go in here. Let's go into object mode up here. So when I select on them, there we go. So I'm going to turn everything on low poly. Alright, so there we go. So these are the pieces that we have so far. And it's the majority of the pieces. We've got little things up here, you know, that we can add to the gun, but all in all, it's looking pretty good. I've got to get this piece, this handle piece, and that's the next thing we're going to tackle for the gun. And we're doing good so far. I think everything's looking really, really nice. And let's go and click on a low poly. There we go. And you can see those plates, those armor plates, are really coming together on the piece, and they're following the outline or the actual base model pretty good. And that's the whole idea. Okay, so this part here, the handle, we'll probably have to get rid of the bottom part when we do the handle, or we can, you know, just kind of scale this down a little bit. We always want to keep a low poly, so I've got an entire, in fact I duplicated it like 4 times. You guys should have too. So I've got it. Keep your high poly in layers and rename them. Like this piece, these I got high poly back, these pieces. And so if I go ahead and select them all and hit the 3 key, you can see that's what they'll look like. High resolution. It looks pretty good. I like that. So far so good. We're doing really good. These pieces might be a little bit too thick, so I might thin those out, but those are easy enough to thin out. But that's what we have so far, and they match up pretty good with the actual concept. which I'm really happy with. Okay. Alright, so the next pieces in part 10, we'll go ahead and start working on the handle and how we're going to figure out how we're going to do the handle.